Good morning, everyone. This is Angela Coulter bringing you this week's Living the Shift live stream / podcast. I'm really excited today to talk to you because this actually came up in conversation. It's something that's been sort of, manifesting in my consciousness for a couple of weeks. And I thought, this is what a great time to do this. So we are at the end of January and we're coming into the beginning of February, which is my favorite personal month because, hey, Jen, hey, Christy, my personally favorite month because it's my birthday month, right? So February is to me like sort of the beginning of the year, right? When people who follow astrology would say it's, the solar return. And also February is also like a love month. So the other thing that's really wild about this year is that I'm turning 50 a week from Saturday on my birthday. So I was talking to a friend of mine, Yasmin, who she said, oh, you don't need to just do like a celebration. You need to do like a whole month celebration. And I was like, you are totally right. So then what started coming to me was this great idea about here's the thing, for me, like my personal understanding is that this is my first time in about 4 lifetimes that I've lived beyond the age of 25. So what a great thing to, celebrate, but also what a great way to say this month, I celebrate me, right? So what I'm going to do this month, and we're going to talk about why this is important. This is important for everybody. This isn't just me. So, but I'm going to spend this month celebrating me. It's going to be, and so what I'm calling it is 50 ways, since I'm turning 50 ways to celebrate me. And that's so important because we sort of forget to celebrate ourselves in every day and the divine that we are, the divine that we've come here to be. And I think when we spend time celebrating us and ourselves, and we give ourselves permission, body, mind, and spirit, to really celebrate the amazing, perfect beings that we are, then we have so much more to share. We have so much more overflowing love and all that kind of stuff. And we always tend to leave ourselves last. So what I work with many about is finding self-love, coming to a place of unconditional self-love so that we can really come to this place. Oh, there's my ringer again that I always forget to turn off. But when we come to this place of unconditional self-love, then we actually are able to share it in a high vibration with the rest of the world. So it sort of translates into so many different levels. One of the things that I teach when I teach Trinity Energy Progression, that we teach, those of us who instruct, have the first step, which many sort of poo-poo and they think it's very mundane or very elementary. And it is, but the thing is, it's something that everybody sort of seems, not everybody, many seem to skip, is creating a foundation of self-realization and self-love and realizing that we are our priority. Like our journey is is our priority. And we've been brought up in so many ways of saying sacrificing ourselves is so important. For others, that makes us a good person and all that kind of stuff. And, denying ourselves over giving to somebody else is more important. And what that does is it depletes us, right? So when we are on a plane, what do the flight attendants always say is, if the oxygen masks fall down, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before helping the person next to you. It's the same thing about like you can use whatever metaphors you want. The well runs dry if you continue to pull from it and it never gets replenished. So many say, well, if I'm that self-centered, right, or selfish, we call it, right? We call it that in a bad way. Then we say, well, then everybody's going to judge me and they're going to say I'm egotistical. And I'm like, yeah, but egotistical and self-loving are two completely different things. Putting ourselves as a priority are two completely different things. Like then versus egotism. Egotism is about this. It's saying I'm better than you and you're less than me, right? Self-love, when we come from a true place of self-love, unconditional self-love, we say, I love me because I am divine and beautiful and perfect in every way. And so are you. And in that, seeing that love within myself, I see you reflected back to me. So therefore, how could I see you as anything but perfect and divine? And then how can I actually be anything but loving to you and connected as I see you as a reflection of me? So that's really the basis of how we work. Good morning, Anne. Thanks for joining. So we talk about it a lot, right? In spiritual circles, and we say, oh yeah, it's great. Self-love is great. But really the most important part is aligning ourselves in the physical and non-physical. So I've been talking about that a lot lately. My other podcast that I do at Sarah Sieg Avignoni is the Ascended World that we do every Monday. We were talking about I just totally lost that. What were we talking about? I forgot. It was totally relative. Anyhow, it'll come back to me. But wow, I just totally lost my train of thought. That's really funny. Anyhow, so when aligning. Sorry, that's what it was. We talked about aligning the non-3D physical, the non-3D with the 3D physical, right? And the non-3D is emotional, mental, vibrational, right? The 3D physical is how our reality is presented to us in this part of our embodied, our embodied part of our consciousness. And so what we tend to do as we, grow in our consciousness is in our remembrance, right, is that we still sometimes have a challenge connecting the non-physical with the physical, and we get to a place of saying, oh, well, I'd rather just, be focused on the non-physical, and the physical is just physical, but it is still part of our consciousness. So we can't discount one for the other, right? So when we say things and we talk about them and we understand them, that's great. Good morning. So when we talk about them, that's great. But often we'll talk about it and people get it, and what Jennifer Warrington, who was on here earlier, I don't know if she's still here. She always says it great. And she's like, well, I know it, but I don't really know it, right? So I know it in my head versus really, feeling it in my heart. So we can talk about all these things till we turn blue in the face. But if we don't align ourselves in thought, word, and deed to support unconditional love, right? To support unconditional self-love, then we're still not fully there in terms of recognizing it, embracing ourselves, embracing each other in unity. And so part of the elementary steps that I was talking about earlier in what I teach with the Trinity Energy Progression, what we teach, is coming to a place of remembering and uncovering that remembrance of who I am as a divine being and perfect. And let's drop all the sentiments that say, oh well, I'm just I'm just imperfect and I can just accept myself as I am. But what if we change that to say, I'm just perfect and I accept myself as perfect as I am? That's a much different energy. So when we do that, when we start doing that, then the next thing is actually creating habits in the 3D, in all thought, word, and deed that support that, right? So we talk about, thinking the thoughts, that being observant to the thoughts that we have, being observant to the deeds and to what we're doing in our 3D. Because if we talk about it until we're blue in the face, but we don't support it in what we're doing and what we're thinking and what we're saying, and we don't change the way that we approach things, then we're still going to have a disconnect from our larger consciousness to our embodied consciousness. Good morning, Gloria. So what came to me about all that, is it's really some things that we don't even think about. We don't even think about some of the things that we deny ourselves or we don't even consider for ourselves. And we rarely take time to celebrate who we are. You know, we spend so much time trying to prove ourselves, trying to be loved, trying to be approved by others, trying to live up to what others expect of us. These are externalizations and separations and coming from this place of lack. And then we shift it around when we start shifting around to say, what if I nourished me? What if I celebrated me as I am right now? And so that's where this whole thing came from. And it just sort of popped in meditation one day is do a month-long series on 50 ways, turning 50, right? And it's fabulous. 50 ways to celebrate me. And so every day I'm going to get on and I'm going to do something, or I'm going to talk about something, and I'm going to post about something. Little things, body, mind, and spirit, to nourish myself. And I have a lot of friends out there. I have a lot of friends who are way past 50, and they're just like, oh, please, that was so yesterday. And I have a lot of friends that are already even close to 50. But I also have a lot of friends who are right about turning 50 this year, next year, whatever. And, you know, we tend to get so caught up in numbers and what culture tells us and all this kind of stuff. And people say to me, like, they're like, oh, wow, I can't believe you're turning 50. I'm like, isn't that great? Isn't that fabulous? They're like, you know, they're like, what? But, you know, when I was talking to that friend of mine, to Yasmin, and I said, yeah, I haven't really sort of decided. Like, I definitely have decided, you know, I at least want to try the intro, you know, the intro flying course, because I'm thinking about getting my pilot's license. And yeah, some other things on the docket, but haven't really figured out, you know, what that is. Haven't really figured out what else I'm going to do. And she's like, oh, honey, we got to celebrate all month, right, for 50. And I was like, you're right. So she's like, you know, she teaches, you know, salsa dancing. She's like, you should come out salsa dancing. I'm like, oh, I should totally. That would be great. And so, like, I'm starting to do these things and I'm looking at things. And so there are things like that, but then there are also very, you know, everyday things. And so, like I said, starting tomorrow, every day I'm going to get on and I would love to hear what others say about things that they can think about to celebrate them. So I'm inviting everybody to join me, not just for some of us hit 70 last year. Awesome, Gloria. That's amazing. One of my very good friends is turning 79 in March, and she is one of the most amazing people I know. We went to Sedona, Arizona together late in 2018, and you know, we went hiking in the canyons and everything else. I never think of her, like, in fact, she said something about turning 79, and I never think of her as a number. Like, and I just think of her as one of my friends and it's one of my soul tribe, you know. And so when we get to that place of energetic connection, it's like, well, the age thing just drops away. And so, like, what I think is really important is for us to sit and say, age is just a number. Let's stop fooling ourselves and trying to talk ourselves and creating these realities where we have to age, we have to act differently. You know, we have to deny ourselves. We have to say, I can't do that because I'm this age, right? I can't do that because of this. Take the chance and take that time to really saturate yourself in you. I mean, how many of us get to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old and more, and we don't even know who we are because we've spent such a majority of our lives like doing for others, focusing on others, supporting others, filling the expectation of others. I can't tell you how many that I work with that that come to me and say, you know, when we talk about what allows you to embody your joy, like your joy, not dependent on anybody else, not saying that I just totally lost my train of thought again. Wow, I have all this stuff running out there in consciousness. I actually got distracted here. Bob, Betty, Joe, Joyner, Bolander. It's usually not the mind, but the body that slows us down, except it's the mind that slows the body down. It is the beliefs that we hold energetically and the things that we're holding the non-physical that actually create the physical. So the more that we actually shift our non-physical, the more that we come to this place of the physical where our physical is in much more of a better place. Like I had so many people in my family talk to me. Oh my God, I can't even tell you from when I was a kid. Oh, when you get to be 40, just like enjoy it now because, arthritis runs in our family and this and this and this and this. I have none of that. I have none of it. And part of it has to do with it, I believe fully that it's because of my conscious practice of shifting. And that's what energy healing is about, is looking at the non-physical and seeing how it's like creating the physical. Anne McKenzie. Yeah. So Anne McKenzie, who's on here, says some of us hit 50 a few years back. Anne is another absolutely awesome example of how she's I don't know, she brought up her age, and I'm not going to say it unless you want me to. But like, I just think of her as my friend too. And she is so funny that she is one of the most active people I know. And you want to talk about the body slowing, like the body slowing it down. She has had her body try to slow her down. She's had genetics and familial agreements try to slow her down. And she just keeps on, shifting it, changing it, healing it in whatever way that she can support it. And then she gets up and moves on. And one of the most, okay, yeah, Anne says, I don't care. I'm 65 years old. 65, I see her all the time. And it was really funny because I remember her saying to me, obviously 10 years ago, that she was 55, and it never, in my mind, she's never gotten any older. So when she said she was like 65, I was like, what? No, you're not. You're still 55. That's the whole thing. And Anne has gone through, okay, BJ, thanks. I didn't know what to call you because you have all those names on your thing. So, and Anne is a great example. Anne has, was it degenerative arthritis or whatever? And she has gone through, she went through a double knee replacement. I think that was, I don't know, that was a while ago, right, Anne? And she was up and going, beyond their expectations. She got through it. She was whitewater rafting months after she had it. And she just keeps on going, and she has these weird things. And I keep on telling her, so Anne, stop trying to rebuild your body in a way that you think you have to break down to do it, rebuilding it into this crystalline form. And she's so funny. Stroke, glaucoma, double knee replacement, stomach. Yeah, your stomach and the chest. That was so weird. And she continues to go. And the woman, I can never get her on a Friday night or something if I'm doing something. She's like, oh, I have plans. I'm going here. I'm going there. I'm going boating. Anyhow, so she's just another great example. I'm glad that she's here. So part of how I work with others has to do with getting through those things that we hold in our bodies that cause us to break it down, that cause our cells to, because we held a lot of stuff in our cells. We hold a lot of stuff in our cells as sort of baggage, not just from this life, but in other lives, and some familial agreements, soul agreements, and we can change all of that kind of stuff. And as we do, we get younger and younger. And I always laugh because that's what I always say is well, the longer we do energy healing, the younger we get, because I have so many people that are like, well, I don't even know. I'm not even quite sure the mechanics. I understand the mechanics of how that works, but holy moly, that really works. It really has shifted me. And I'm like, well, yeah, now just learn how to do it to yourself, because that's all I'm helping you do. So without my help. So anyhow, so nourishing and celebrating and loving ourselves, that's step one. And that's the thing we tend to forget. It's the thing we tend to put last on our list. And even sometimes we'll start there, and we're out of habit so much on unconditional self-love that we depend on others to make us happy. We depend on situations to make us happy, instead of allowing ourselves to embody our happiness. So I've sort of adopted that terminology to say, how do you, when I talk to my clients and my students, it's how do you embody your happiness? How do you allow yourself to embody your happiness? And many don't know what to say. They don't even know. That's what I started saying before when I got off track with the age thing. So, and that's all kinds of ages, from 20s to 80s. I've had so many come to me who have no idea. And so, like, so much, we're brought up culturally, right? We're brought up culturally to say, oh, well, this man or this woman, a man or a woman will make me whole. Being in a relationship will make me whole. And it's like, no, the key is to come to a place of wholeness within ourselves and self-love within ourselves before, and we even look at that relationship, thing. And it's funny because we're in such this habit of saying, oh no, I have to be in a relationship and whatever, that I work with many who do what I call like conscious uncoupling, right? Like getting out of a marriage or getting out of a marriage or a really long-term relationship, to say, I don't need, Patty here says, I don't know. Yeah, many don't. But anyhow, so like we get distracted. I talked about relationships a couple weeks ago where we get distracted, like saying I need to have a relationship to be happy. And I'm like, well, how about you find your happiness within yourself? And then you can develop a relationship or not. But really, the first relationship is with ourselves. The greatest, and I posted this, I think last week, this quote that I hear in one of the yoga things I do on Yoga Today regularly. And it's a quote that's like, loving yourself is the beginning of a lifelong love affair, a relationship, or something like that. I think it's an Emerson quote. And I love that. I mean, and she's always, and the woman who's teaching it, she says that quote in this part where it's a really intense stretch. And it's just like, don't abandon your body. Don't abandon yourself. Love yourself. And we can love ourselves in so many different ways. And we nourish, like when we nourish and we love ourselves, then we find it completely easy and effortless to love others. And we come from the heart versus obligation, which is a much different thing. And guess what? Obligation is what's egotistical. When I do something because I feel like I have to do something, then that is from the ego. That's from saying, well, because I have to do this to prove that I'm valuable, because I don't believe I'm valuable just being me. So I have to do this so that this person will give me love and let me know that I'm loved. And so instead of saying, well, I love myself, and if I choose to do this for you, it's because I'm coming from a place of love and I'm overflowing with it, versus feeling like, oh, well, for this person, for her or him to love me, I have to do this. And then it's like, well, if I have to do anything for somebody to show me affection, well, then I need to look at the reflection of that within myself. Is what do I believe I'm lacking within me? So again, that points all back to us. It points the mirror right back to us to say, we can change anything. I am of a firm belief of doing that. I have changed many things within myself that many say that aren't changeable, physically and non-physically. And I've helped others do that for themselves as well. And part of it comes from a place of saying, I know I can do this, and I am divine and I am infinite, and I can access all of the knowledge of the divine consciousness of the multiverse. And everybody can too. If I don't believe that of myself, if I don't believe I'm worthy of, if I don't have unconditional self-love for me, I will not let myself access it. Many ask me, what's the trick in that? Because really that's what Trinity Energy Progression is about, that I teach. And I talk about, and we talk about all the time, tapping into divine consciousness and accessing that as your full consciousness. And many say, well, how can I do that on my own? I'm like, you can, except that most of us don't, because we're not in the practice of unconditional self-love. We can take all the classes we want. We could take all the energy healing classes we want. We could have a whole bag of tricks in our bag, but if we don't have unconditional self-love, we will only be so powerful. And eventually it'll break down, like we'll break ourselves down. As we focus on self-love, then we naturally access divine consciousness and as ourselves on an easier, more consistent way, in a more full way. And then our experiences become purely magical and beyond reason, because that's when we tap into really the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. So where does it come down to? That's why I'm doing this month of 50 ways to celebrate me. And it's probably going to be even more. So I'm inviting anybody who's listening to pass this on, number one. Number two, to do this yourself, not just for me, because I'm doing it for me, for my own, celebration of 50 years in this incarnation, which is twice as long as I have for like 4 other lifetimes before here. And, but to say, you know what, I'm worthy. And it doesn't have to be your birthday. It doesn't have to be any special occasion. It can just be to celebrate you. So being that, even taking out my birthday and that, being that it's like, February, I call it the love month, right? Because we have Valentine's Day in there, and yes, it's a Hallmark holiday, but I love calling it Love Day because it reminds us to love ourselves. It reminds us to be active in love, not for other. I mean, the Hallmark part is, like for your Valentine and all that kind of stuff. Well, you be your Valentine. You be your love. You be your one and only. In a session that I did with somebody sometime in the past couple of weeks, we were out in the ethers, and I said to her, what if you embodied yourself as you, and you are so madly in love with yourself, so madly in love with that person, and all you wanted to do was to be happy with that person, and so the habit that we're in is to disempowering ourselves or giving it away and saying, okay, I want to make that person happy. Okay, so if you put that person in front of you, if you put you in front of you and said, I am so incredibly in love with you, what would you do? Like, and you took yourself out on a date, what would that look like? What would that be like? What would you explore to nourish yourself and to celebrate you? And she goes, I'm going to have to think about that. And I said, not like sitting home on Friday night watching Netflix. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But really, like going out of your way to say, you know what? Let me try something. And I was talking to somebody about that recently. Who was it? Oh, another client. About, who is, his life has massively changed, and he's been divorced, or he's gotten divorced over the last couple of years, and I've worked with him through a lot of stuff, another conscious uncoupling kind of thing. And now, and his kids are out of the house now, and now he's like, well, now who am I? Like, now is the time for me to explore who I am. And so, he's trying a bunch of different things. He's trying, what's that workout thing? The one with the big tires. I can't believe I can think of it. I have so many, I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, he's joined a workout program, and he's helping with a high school team doing something that something of interest to him, and he's exploring. Like he took guitar for a while, and there are a lot of people I know who are taking up instruments, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and it's great because it helps us to access the right brain, which is that, like connected to our intuition and really our consciousness. So, and there are all these things too, like, can you get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, I love you. You're awesome. Let's be awesome today. I put that up like about 6 months ago in the bathroom in my hallway, which is the one that my clients use because I have my office at home. And it says, be awesome today, right on the mirror. Right? So be awesome today, because you are awesome. So let yourself be that. And so part of this month of 50 ways of celebrating me, for all of us, is let's make it really fun and supportive, and say, how about, and we can celebrate ourselves in so many ways that, cost money, that don't cost money, right? I mean, there's so many different things and little things we can do that allow ourselves the freedom to remember how to embody our happiness, and to come to a place of embodying our bliss, because it's from there that we are the most powerful, the most magical, the most infinitely able. And so start with aligning the thought, word, and deed to say, okay, what if I reminded myself every day one thing? How am I awesome? How am I awesome? Right? What's awesome about me? Because we're so used to saying what stinks about us. We're so used to saying things like, oh, well, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not, I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough, all this kind of stuff. So what if we said, I am and more, right? Instead of saying all of those, I am not enough. What if we said, I am enough? And like, I am, I love this about myself. I love this about myself. Because once we start aligning the habits, right, then we start seeing, thank you, Vijay, thanks for joining. But, the thing is, so look at that, and follow along. I'm going to be getting on, every day. But how do you celebrate yourself in every day? And start thinking about that. How do you celebrate yourself in every day? Not dependent on other people, right? Do you sing your favorite song? Do you play your favorite music? Do you, go to your favorite park? Do you indulge in things that make your heart sing, that allow your heart to sing, so that the rest of everything you do allows your heart to sing while you're doing it? So that's what this is all going to be about. So stay tuned. I'm glad you joined me today. And that's really everybody's homework, not just for this week, but for this month. And come join along. I'm going to be posting on my page on a regular basis, probably every day, because let's see, we only have 28 days to hit 50 things, which we can do. 50 ways to celebrate ourselves. So have a great day. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you guys have ideas, I want to hear back. I want to hear back what everybody's doing too. I'm going to maybe create a page or an event or whatever where we can all post there. That would be really fun, just to see how everybody starts to celebrate themselves. And like I said, and those who are hitting milestones this year, great. If we want to put, any dependence on numbers, it doesn't even matter. But I have so many friends that are turning 50 as well. I have others that are turning other, landmark years. And it's like, you know what? Fine, then use it as an excuse to celebrate you. Stop being in lack and stop saying, oh, I'm getting old or blah, blah, blah. That's actually, no, look at how amazing we can have it and how amazing life can be and how amazing we can allow ourselves to be if we simply got into the habits of supporting that within ourselves. And when we do that, everything else around us will support it as well. So have a fabulous day. We'll see you next time. This is Angela Coulter signing off on Living the Shift.